Good evening, afternoon, everybody. It's David Schlotthauer here with a live tropical weather outlook and discussion for August the 2nd, 2024. As always, my thoughts in these live streams in regards to these tropical systems are mine alone, and making any decisions regarding your location and the system, please consult the National Hurricane Center and your local officials for the latest information for where you are. So this has evolved pretty rapidly in the last 24 hours as we are keeping an eye on PTC number 4 as it now is over Cuba. Now the thing about this system is it is really hard to locate. The center might be attempting to form out here down here to the south. And so when we zoom back out and run this through completely, let me zoom this out here. Okay, there we go. So here's a look at the floater visible satellite imagery. Here's Florida for reference. So everyone watching from Florida, I'm sure a lot of people will be tuning into this stream wondering what the impacts will be. Here is Cuba over here. Here is the Turks and Caicos. Here is Grand Bahama Islands up here to the north. And then, of course, the Gulf of Mexico, which everyone has their eyes on because the waters are very warm here. And here is PTC number 4, again, dubbed by the National Hurricane Center. It is not a tropical depression just yet or a tropical storm. A PTC means that this is potentially going to be a tropical storm. They're very confident it will become a tropical storm within about 24 to 36, maybe 48 hours, and that is why they designate this as PTC 4 instead of simply keeping this at 60 or 70%. And when there's a high likelihood of impacts to a lot of areas, that's also why they do that. So now, looking at the closer zoomed in view here on PTC number 4, this has been a big challenge today, looking for where the low-level center of circulation might be located. These are always difficult to track, especially one, if it's passing over land, and secondly, when it's in its formative stage, which means the system is not a hurricane. It did not get disrupted because of land interaction. This is still in the beginning stages. So this is trying to get better organized, but instead we have the high terrain here of Cuba that could actually localizedly affect the circulation, disrupt it. We could see what we call frog hopping lows within this. And so that's probably what we've seen today. So now the challenge here is, let me bring up one more tab here, or let me bring that up. There we go. So the challenge here remains, where is the circulation? This is very important because the models have not initialized this very well, especially the GFS model. The GFS thought maybe the northern end of this wave would become the more focal point of the spin, the low-level spin, the circulation where it drills down to the surface. Unfortunately, this is a more concerning scenario in other aspects that I'll show you here in a second. But it does look like our circulation has possibly formed down here. It is really hard to tell. I've done a lot of hard work at potentially trying to locate where the circulation was this afternoon. And all I can say here is if we have southerly winds here, well, of course, we have easterly winds here on this side, and we have winds out of the northeastern side over here. And if we look closely on these low-level cloud motions, we even have westerly wind here doing something like this. So it is possible there might be a northern area of spin on this wave still over Cuba. But it does appear to me, based on my analysis, that the low-level circulation might be attempting to relocate and form underneath a lot of the more deeper convection that we're seeing down here over the Grand Cayman, even some of the sister islands here to the northeast of that. Looks like, again, Jamaica is in good standing right now. Not much impacts other than pop-up storms this morning and yesterday. Now, a lot of this disturbing weather is now moving off in this general west-northwesterly direction. But it is also very important that relocations of the center could impact exactly where this goes. So imagining if we had the circulation here and then maybe we had a reformation, it jumped. It actually jumped further southwest, and this is probably where it's at right now, somewhere rather where we have that deeper convection. Still a fragile, murky situation that we're dealing with. So now, what about the overall environment surrounding PTC number 4? If we take a look at the water vapor imagery, darker gray colors indicate, well, the air is drier here, versus the brighter gray colors, even some white colors, indicate a lot of deep layer moisture. So essentially, you're looking at a water vapor, how much water is in the air, not just at the surface. And the more water you have in the atmosphere, you don't end up seeing collapsing thunderstorms, arcing bands, that sort of thing. So this is a really helpful tool. And what it also shows us too is if we speed this up, it shows us what our upper level air pattern is like. So what we have here is we have northeasterly winds here. This is beginning to really abate as our trough is now down here, that vort max at about 200 millibars. We have winds doing this. And our system is up here now in a more conducive environment. So it has cleared the belt of deep layer shear, and we have background flow coming in out of the easterly direction. And again, what is shear is, if you think about it, if you have a system doing this and you have the flow that is nearly the same in the upper levels, you're actually going to get very little wind shear over the system. Wind shear is not to be confused just with upper level winds. I want to be clear about that. And it's all about, one, what's the steering flow for this system? And secondly, what is the upper level winds above that vortex? Is it coming in out of this direction? And in other words, if you had northeasterly flow aloft and you had the system doing this, you would actually draw the vector from this, and this would be more of a westerly or northwesterly wind shear. Because if you think about it, if your system's doing this, you're changing the wind flow or the relative flow around the system more out of the northwesterly direction. In this case, we're not seeing that, and we're seeing very little wind shear over the system. So now that we took a little bit of a 5 or 6 minute talk about tropical depression or potential tropical cyclone number 4, here's a look at the latest update from the National Hurricane Center. Again, winds as of this update are now at 30 miles an hour as of the 8 o'clock advisory. So again, this is still being dubbed from the National Hurricane Center of being a PTC right now. There's no name on this. This is not a tropical depression or a tropical storm Debby of any sort. This is expected to become Tropical Storm Debby in the next 24 to 36 hours, and that's what we have. So when we take a look here at the National Hurricane Center track forecast, actually let's go back and look at that. So again, this is what we looked at right here. Again, winds of 30 miles an hour, PTC number 4, that's what we have. Pressure's down at 1,010 millibars. And so when we go forward and look at this, we can see winds right now are up to 30 miles an hour on this. It is moving to the west-northwest. And again, we do have tropical storm warnings and watches out for this system. All right. It is also very important, too, that the NHC had the system earlier this morning over here. So this has been moving more southerly than what was previously thought. So if you think about this, this will probably end up gaining latitude here shortly and then turning off in this general direction. Probably the far western side of this cone is a potential outcome in this situation. Right now, 30 mile an hour winds. This is expected to become a tropical storm at landfall, yet we'll see if Tampa Bay is under a tropical storm warning in the next 12 to 24 hours as this makes its right turn into the Big Bend of Florida. All right, so we're going to actually do this. Let me make sure. Okay, we're going to do this first. Actually, hold on. Where is our key messages? There we go. That's what we want. We want our key messages first and then do this second. There we go. Our key messages right now for PTC number 4 is that, again, we're going to be looking at the models too on this. Heavy rainfall may result in flash and urban flooding across portions of Florida and the Central Coast areas of the southeast this weekend through Wednesday morning. Isolated river flooding will be also possible. Tropical storm conditions are expected Saturday night within the tropical storm warning area in southwestern Florida. From East Cape Sable to Banca Grande, tropical storm conditions are possible in the Florida Keys on Saturday and along the Florida west coast north of Banca Grande to Swanee River Saturday night and Sunday, where a tropical storm watch is in effect. Now, we need to be clear here. There is a possibility, folks. Yeah, there is a possibility of life-threatening inundation from storm surge along portions of the west coast of Florida from Bonita Beach to Swanee River, including Tampa Bay and Charlotte Harbor, where a tropical storm surge watch is in effect. Impacts from storm surge, strong winds, and heavy rains are possible elsewhere in Florida and along the southeast coast of the United States. And yes, this includes for Georgia, North Carolina, and even perhaps right off the coast of even Virginia. May get some of the outer fetches of that tropical storm footprint, depending on exactly how strong it can re-intensify to. And interest in those areas should continue to monitor the progress of the system. Additional watches and warnings will likely be required later tonight and on Saturday. Be sure to share this live stream with your family and friends too on social media. We only have 100 people watching, so be sure to get this out to a lot of people because we need to get the information out to a lot as well. So again, if you guys are new, share, like, and subscribe to the live stream and live update. So earliest reasonable arrival time of tropical storm force winds right now over, say, western Florida right now. Chances of tropical storm force winds are about 40 to 50%. Let me see if this has updated, and it has not. We'll get a new update from the complete advisory tomorrow or tonight when those chances will probably go up a lot more once we figure out where this system is actually located and where it reforms. But there is a 30 to 40% chance of tropical storm force winds off the Georgia coast. So keep that in mind, folks. If you live over Savannah, Georgia, just be aware there are those chances of tropical storm force conditions. Now, what about the storm surge forecast? Again, we're looking at Tampa Bay, 2 to 4 feet. Yes, Swanee River, 2 to 4 feet. Charlotte Harbor, 2 to 4 feet. Bonita Beach, we're looking at about 1 to 3 feet. Card Sound Bridge, we're looking at about 3 feet of storm surge. So again, we are really keeping an eye on where and how much higher these storm surge numbers could get based on the intensity of the system. So now this system is going to bring a lot of rainfall, and we just got an update, and they did drop the amounts a little bit, but still thinking right now, over Tampa Bay, this narrow corridor. Again, where that system tracks over, we could see as much as 8 to maybe 6 to 8 inches of rainfall. That's a lot of rainfall in a rather short amount of time. Orlando, Florida, 2 to 4 inches. And then Wilmington, Charleston, Savannah, Jacksonville here really need to be watching this. There is going to be a lot of rain, especially if this really moves slowly. There's a potential slowdown over here off the Carolina coast of the southeastern United States. And this could bring maybe as much as 8 to perhaps locally 12 inches of rainfall. So yeah, this is not just a one and done deal where it does this and then it kind of goes out to sea like that. This is going to be a problem for a while. And what I mean by that is the system's going to do this, and then it's going to graze the coastline, possibly meander here for a couple of days, and then maybe move on shore. There is a stall that still wants, the models still want to have happen here by the end of this coming week. So by the 8th or the 9th of August, we can be looking at a stalling system here off the North and South Carolina coast. So now PTC Cyclone number 4 chances, or this is a look at the storm surge outlook from the National Hurricane Center, and there is a storm surge watch now in effect. Okay, this is not a warning. This is letting you know that, hey, there's a watch issue. This could get upgraded to a warning. So yeah, St. Petersburg here, Tampa Bay, Florida, yeah, you're under a storm surge watch. And Cape Coral, you're under a storm surge watch as well. And when we take a look, we're going to read this a little later. And we really need to look at this, though. The chances of flooding, as well are at a slight risk for the moment. So this is not a devastating, or not even like what we could see with Beryl or other systems. There is going to definitely be maybe an upgrade here, at least along the Tampa Bay coast, maybe in this narrow area where you might get a moderate risk. Oh my gosh, not trying to sneeze. A moderate risk of at least a 40% chance of heavy rainfall and flood concerns here in later outlooks. This is not out right now with a moderate risk, but that could be a possibility, and might even see an upgrade here along the southeastern coast here of the Carolinas in later updates from the Weather Prediction Center. Because again, if this gets closer, it's stronger, and it stalls, this could be all hands off on this one, or all bets are off. So that's what we're going to have to monitor. Okay, so now what's the track of the system? Now everyone's probably asking me that question here now that we talked about our NHC graphics, that I covered that really well, is now what is the GFS showing? We'll be looking at some of the hurricane models here. And so right now, the GFS mysteriously has trended back west again. And we can see that if we just go back a few model runs ago, maybe Tampa was going to get the center. That was last night's run at 06Z. This was the 12Z run. And now all of a sudden, we're seeing new corrections further west here, because now our system's further west than what was projected. Because some of the models wanted the northern end of this to consolidate. We're not seeing that today. So we are seeing now, looks like the Big Bend of Florida, Tampa Bay, Florida, needs to be watching this. All right, and I will show you the hurricane models here in a second. This gets pretty intense, perhaps. It does intensify all the way up until landfall. And this could be a generous forecast, because if we go back and look at previous runs, the pressure didn't drop much lower. Now it's at 997. The global models don't handle these situations very well. So it doesn't surprise me if it's far enough offshore, even further west, and it takes its own sweet time. Again, the launching point here is still a little bit to the north than what we're seeing right now, I feel like. So if this comes off of Cuba by Saturday morning, that's tomorrow morning, we can see it is going to spend about a day and a half over the Gulf. Could even extend that just a little bit. And any extra water time for this system could be trouble up here in the Big Bend, even Pensacola, Florida. But then watch what happens. It's not done. We're not done with this. Once this moves over Florida, this re-intensifies pretty significantly. All right, we have a 973, 971 millibar system. Could even get stronger than that. We really gotta keep an eye on this. Okay, so once this moves on shore, unlike other systems where, okay, it'll move on shore and then it'll just kind of stay over land, or it'll do this and kind of, this one is a very different system. This is gonna pull like an Ian, only this is gonna be a lot further north than where Ian made landfall, which was down here. But it's gonna take that similar track where it does this, and then it kind of ends up maybe doing that. That makes sense. So similar track with Ian, not exactly, but the similarities here. And with very warm waters here off the South Carolina, North Carolina coast of about 29 to 30 Celsius, that's warm enough to support quick development with this. And that's why the GFS has been indicating here that there's a lot of development that is potentially expected. So now the question here is, where will it be? Now, we don't even know. This is a 5-day forecast, and it's because, one, our system is still relocating and it's still developing right now. It's in its formative stage. Until we get a closed area of low pressure, a closed circulation on this, models are going to still have tweaks done. Does this go further west? Does this go further east? And I'll show you the ensemble here in just a little bit. But you can see a model run ago, the 12Z run, had this at 973 over Cape Hatteras on Wednesday next week. And then the run before that had it just off the coast of Cape Hatteras. The run before that, really close. So now all of a sudden, because of that recorrection, the system might end up being a little slower. This could be trouble. This could be trouble because now it's going to slow down considerably. I mean, look at that. That really does slow down. And just how much it's able to intensify once it reemerges off the Georgia coast here. This would be 24 hours. That would be day 1, day 2, and 3 days. 3 days over the open Atlantic here. That's a lot of time. That's 72 hours to reorganize and re-intensify. And we'll see if the trends continue with this. If this stalls even further offshore, we just don't know yet. Okay? And then that moves offshore. Okay, so now some of you are probably going to want me to look at another system in the Gulf. We'll look at that later. The number one priority is looking at our system that everyone is concerned about right now, and that's, again, PTC Four. So now, what is our 18Z model guidance telling us? Well, we're not done with with this westerly outcome here. If we look at this blue line, this is a UK Met model, and look how far west this goes. This goes really far west versus the EMI model. This gets a lot closer, perhaps over Tampa Bay, Florida. That's a pretty dramatic, uncertainty there. Now, most of the clusters are within this Big Bend of Florida. That's what you do not want to see. That's a lot of storm surge. Tampa Bay could get a lot of storm surge out of this. It's in an estuary here. It's going to be important, again, where the launching point is. Let's just say if this reforms, if we're seeing a reformation down here with that low, that really makes a difference. This literally moved a lot further west. So now the launching point here is more like this, right? And the later this comes off of the Gulf, it could get tangled up within this environment in the northeastern Gulf. So that is why we are not done with shifts in the model guidance just yet. This could trend further east still, or this could trend simply further west. So that's a look at the spaghetti plot. And yeah, over here for our neighbors living in South and North Carolina, that comes really close. That does glide up the coast here of the Carolinas between day 4 and day 5. Even day 3, so from day 3 to day 4 to day 5. So this really is not a very quick mover. This is going to take its own sweet time. None of the models here do not show the stalling out versus the GFS model, which again, still up in the air. Actually, I did forget to show you the hurricane models. My bad. Let's actually look at that. Let's go to, okay. Yeah, this is the right one. All right, I just want to make sure we're on the same page here. So this is a look at the hurricane models. Okay, this is important information. This is the H-Wharf model, and again, where this relocates is going to be really important. Again, very important. If the low is down here, we yet have to find out. As we go forward in time, we can see that the low does try to develop here and gets down to 985 millibars. Once this gets into the Big Bend of Florida here on the H-Wharf. Okay. Now, what about other models, other hurricane models? Let's look at the HMON model. And we can see here the HMON 986, 985 millibars. You can see the eye wall there, the northern eye wall, the eastern eye wall, pretty strong, open off to the west. So there's some shear here. And then this really doesn't organize very much on the HMON or even on the H-Wharf. Actually, the H-Wharf is a little bit more intense with it, and it actually comes back offshore again. Again, a lot of uncertainty even with that guidance. The halves A, let's look at the halves A. Let's see what this looks like. The halves A, 987, and then the halves B has this at 980, is that 983? Looks like 983 millibars over the northern Big Bend of Florida, near Pensacola, Florida. So actually, I want to make sure, because I got that wrong. I think Panama City's to the west of Pensacola, Florida. I just want to make sure I got Panama City. Okay, Pensacola is further to the west. Okay, I got my names. Good thing I checked that. So I do apologize if I got that wrong. So Panama City here. I feel like Panama City should be over here and Pensacola should be over here. I don't know why I got those two cities mixed up, but Panama City here getting close to the circulation, and then you can see really, really heavy rain fall moving on shore here. So in general, on these models, we could be looking at a strong tropical storm with winds of about 65, 70 miles an hour. If you're watching a YouTuber that says this is going to become a Cat 1 hurricane, that's a little bit too soon to call at the moment. It is just too soon. So that is why I'm not declaring anything yet that this is going to become a hurricane. And when we look at the intensity forecast from Tropical Tidbits on their website, we can see here that this system does look like it is going to intensify, most certainly. That's definitely a likelihood here. But my intensity forecast here is definitely down the middle. There's a lot of uncertainty. Actually, it looks more like this, then it weakens, and then it might try to re-intensify a little bit more at the on the other side. But right now, I'm expecting a storm of about 40, about 50, about 60 to maybe 70 miles an hour. So maybe a high-end tropical storm, but I'm not going a little crazy on this at all. I just don't think there's enough time over the Gulf that this is going to become a hurricane just yet. But you just never know. With as warm waters of what we're seeing, anything is possible in the Gulf of Mexico, and we definitely cannot turn our eyes off of that system once it gets into the Gulf. It's been outperforming a little bit better than what we thought. So now looking at the GEFS Ensemble forecast, we can see here most of the track guidance for this, again, is definitely a bit similar with what our hurricane models are showing, but again, where this location forms, the relocation is going, we're going to probably see a whole lot of changes to future outcomes to the model. This is actually the, why did I get the 12Z output? All right, hold on. Let me get the latest 18Z run. There we go. That's what we were looking for. So let's take a look at that right here. So we can see now the GEFS Ensemble has now been correcting that the circulation could form within this circle. But you got to also note, this is not a point. So we're not seeing something that's like this at all. Instead, we are seeing different initialization points from the ensemble. These are different members. We have a member down here. What if that does that? That's this member right here, essentially. So more than anything, the further south this gets, the more chances it has time to intensify. And this could get close to Panama City, Florida, and Pensacola, Florida, which is right over here. Okay, there's a chance of that. And these green areas do indicate where we do have winds of 40 knots or even 50 knots, perhaps, okay? So that is our concern that we have in today's update, that that the system could definitely could take off. We cannot take our eyes off of this at all. We just can't. So we really gotta keep an eye on this, okay? So anyone living in the Big Bend and of course off the Carolina coast definitely needs to be watching this. So now the ensemble forecast from the Euro, similar outcome here with a lot of the net members showing a tropical storm, a low grade to a mid grade, and then more significant strengthening on the other side here is what both of these models are indicating. So area like the Carolinas, South Carolina, North Carolina, Cape Hatteras, definitely need to be watching this. And on the worst case, on the European ensemble, some of the members are even taking this a little higher to 60 knots. That is close to hurricane intensity, those orange tracks of what we're measuring. But the unfortunate thing is this is further west than what we thought, and that means now areas further west definitely, or further northwest of Florida, say from Tampa Bay, Florida, need to be watching this. Now, of course, our Gulf waters are very, very warm. They're certainly warm out there. We can definitely see here over the Gulf of Mexico, we're looking at 88 to 89 degrees Fahrenheit waters. And in fact, we have an area of 32 Celsius waters that is about 90 to 91 degrees Fahrenheit. So very warm around the Gulf of Mexico where this is moving. So you could imagine if the system is over here potentially of what we're thinking, and it turns like this, it is going to be moving over this patch of very, very, very warm waters. I mean, in the 90s, that's ridiculous. That is going to allow the system to potentially take off at a more rapid rate. So we're definitely not taking our eyes off of this. And the anomalies here are pretty significant. We're looking at anywhere between 1 to 2 degrees Celsius, in simple words, without using the word Celsius because that might cause a little bit of confusion. 1 to 2 degrees above average in terms of the sea surface temperatures. This orange really showing us how warm the Gulf really is. And you look at this, even off the Florida coast here, off the East Coast, we've seen some really warm sea surface temperatures. In fact, if we go back and look at that, yeah, there's a patch here that's the Gulf Stream. That is 30 Celsius. That is about 88 to 89 degrees Fahrenheit. So yeah, very, very warm once this thing gets out of Florida and moves back into the Atlantic yet again, briefly. All right, so again, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, folks. We only have 120 people watching. I don't know why I'm not getting a lot of attention on this live stream, because we need to get this out to a lot of people. So again, please share this. Let's not make this like severe weather where we don't get hardly anyone watching. So again, please, just not a lot of attention with this system, I guess. Maybe that's one of the reasons why. But please share this because I'm going to be doing these. I'm going to be doing another live stream on this tomorrow afternoon again, right around 5 o'clock, like we did today. So if you guys are not subscribed yet, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. It really means a lot. All right. I've just been struggling, and I do not know why. I'm hoping, we can get this out to a lot of people. Hopefully it's not because of what I said in the community post. I know I've been causing some drama. I do apologize for that. I don't like causing drama. But some things do bother me. Some things do bother me, and that's why I do that. And okay, my webpage just crashed. I don't know why that ended up happening. Sorry about that. That is crazy that it would actually do that. So let me go back here. Hopefully no one's messing with my internet. That would be a problem if someone is messing with my internet. So yeah, there we go. We got everything back up. So do you guys have any questions for me at all? Do you guys have any questions at all? I just wanted to show you guys the National Hurricane Center By the way, Carlotta out here is 85 miles an hour. Wow, we have 2 areas now that we have to watch eventually. Well, not really. We're going to watch those because those are not impacting land areas. But this is the system that we will be focusing on. And actually, let me go to their discussion because I did want to mention that here. So if we take a look at their discussion here, convection and vorticity associated with the tropical wave now over central Cuba have both increased a little this afternoon. However, the circulation is still not well defined and the convection is not yet well enough organized to consider this system to be a tropical depression. So the system remains a potential tropical cyclone at this time. A NOAA Hurricane Hunter is currently investigating the northern side of the wave, and a combination of the drops on earlier scatometers data suggests that the minimum winds or maximum winds remain near 25 knots. The poorly defined center has moved more westward since the previous advisory. However, the overall motion remains about 290, 14 knots. A turn toward the northwest and north is expected during the next couple of days as the system moves into a break in the subtropical ridge caused by the mid-latitude trough over the Ohio Valley. This should be followed by a recurvature into the westerlies after about a couple of days on the forecast track. The system is expected to move into the Straits of Florida and the southeastern Gulf of Mexico on Saturday, followed by a motion near the western coast of Florida Saturday night and Sunday. After that time, the system should cross the northern Florida peninsula and move over the Atlantic near or offshore of the southeastern coast of the United States. While the track guidance generally agrees with this scenario, there are a couple of issues. That's what we're looking for, a couple of issues. First, the GFS moves the system much further northeastward, faster northeastward, and by 72 hours, it is forecasting the center to be off of the South Carolina coast. Meanwhile, the ECMWF and UK Met still have the center over the Gulf of Mexico. Second, due to the track being almost parallel to both the west coast of the Florida Peninsula and the southeastern U.S. coast, small changes in the track could cause large differences in potential landfalls. Which land areas receive the strongest impacts? There is little change in the intensity forecast philosophy from the previous advisory. Slow development is possible while the system is over Cuba, and the system is likely to become a tropical depression soon after it moves offshore on Saturday. The environment over the Gulf of Mexico is quite favorable for strengthening with light shear and very warm sea surface temperatures. So subsequent steady strengthening is expected. The two biggest uncertainties in the intensity forecast are how long the system will remain offshore of Florida and how long it will take to consolidate. The system is likely to weaken as it crosses Florida and re-intensification likely over the Atlantic after about day 3. So that's what we're witnessing here. And you can see the intensity forecast here. By the time it moves onshore, this could be a 65 mile an hour tropical storm, weaken to 45, and then re-intensify on the other side by day 5. So that's what we're witnessing here on the forecast, okay, right now at the moment. And that's what we really got to be aware of because, yeah, there is definitely potential for that to really strengthen maybe faster than not. But also, a new thing that has popped up in the models, and maybe some YouTubers are talking about this, some YouTubers are not talking about this. Just to briefly go over this right now, this is, of course, what we have now, soon to be Debby. We talked about that on the model, right? By the way, let's look at the European model really quickly, and you can see the European model showing the system really just not moving. This is a 12Z model run showing not much at all with movement once this gets off the Florida coast perhaps versus a GFS model that wants this more further offshore when it stalls and then moves onshore. But guess what we have to really watch closely for, and not many people are probably talking about this, is now another area Now, the NHC is not talking about this, of course, because this is the second model run that this has been indicated on. But as we go forward here, watch what ends up happening to this wave. Take note of the deep convection here. Excuse me. Take note. Watch this. Moves over. Oh my gosh. Not going to sneeze again. So we do got deep convection over Jamaica. So taking a look here, sorry about that, folks. Taking a look at Jamaica. Take a look at Jamaica right here. There's our second area. Sorry for the interruption. And then watch what happens. Watch what happens to this system. It moves into the Gulf and could potentially intensify. So not one we're keeping an eye on, but maybe a second one. We will have to see what happens to that. There is the tropical wave, by the way. Let's go back and look at that here on the vorticity plot. So there's that, the first system up here, and then here comes the second system. Take note, right here is the tropical wave. Really weak indeed, nothing too organized. But watch what happens again once this gets into the Gulf of Mexico. This is really far out. I shouldn't even be showing you all this, but actually we'll just look at the next 7 days, and you can see here maybe something that might try to consolidate. We'll see. This is the second model run. It's been showing that, but it's even here on the 3 model runs ago and even over here. So this is a system now we might start having to watch once the NHC starts talking about it, and then if it gets into the Gulf, it could be it could be a little bit of an issue. So how's everybody doing? This is very unfortunate. I am surprised not many people got the notification on here with this live stream, and my chat is dead, just like severe weather, folks. Look, you guys don't want to interact with me. Come on, interact with me. Come on, let's interact. What's up, corruption? So what about Central Florida? So Central Florida, on this model, on the GFS model, definitely is going to get a lot of rain out of this. There is definitely going to be some flood problems over Central Florida as this center passes just to the west of you. The inner core going to remain offshore most likely at this given time unless something unexpectedly changes. But you're going to definitely get quite a bit of rainfall out of this on the even on the eastern side as this passes just to your west. And even rain beginning there by Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, and then here it comes. It could be a big one. Oh, nice. Okay, corruption, thank you for that. Any impacts possible for the Atlantic Canada area? As we go looking north, let's go and look at that. So, yes, there is the potential here for, say, Maine and then eventually into Nova Scotia. Yeah, again, that is really far out. I want to make it clear we do not have any definition on this system right now because, first of all, where is this going to be and how long is it going to stall for? I mean, look at the wild outcomes. Let's just kind of circle this in. Again, there's your system, and I'm actually going to switch over to the Vort thing so you all can see the spin in the atmosphere. And this is at 850 millibars. Look at the last run. It was over here, and the run before that over there, and over here, and way over here. How about that? Look at the uncertainty in the forecast. There is no level of certainty over Nova Scotia, over Newfoundland and the Labrador area, over here, over Eastern Canada, even over Maine. This is very uncertain, you know? And so when we look forward here at the latest model run, it has it over here. The next run may even have it over here, or over here, or over here. We just don't know yet. It just depends on how long this kind of hangs around for, or if it does at all. And how much land interaction will this firstly have near the Carolinas? If this moves onshore, then over Canada, it's not going to be as strong as what models thought before. But if this stays offshore, barely moves over land, and then moves back over the waters again, then this could remain fairly intense. What's up, Hurricane Swifty 13? Welcome to Tropical Storm. I do appreciate that. Thank you for becoming a member. Yeah, I did see that, Hurricane Swifty 13. There is a potential for that to happen. And if we look at the weather nerds for that, again, we do not have much validity to the forecast here. We know somewhere in Florida, that's all we have in today's update. At some time, Florida is going to get impacted by this. And if we zoom in on that area, you can see here, let's go and zoom in. Actually, let me save the image. You can see here, this is the 18Z GEFS ensemble. And yeah, look at, there are still wild outcomes. That is a huge distance. That is not small. This could theoretically, if it is like this could basically go across Western Florida, Panama City, Florida, and even Pensacola, Florida. Versus if it does this, then it's going to be further offshore perhaps, and it could re-intensify on the other side as a tropical storm to about 50 to 60 miles an hour. Now, what about the European ensemble? Again, for those that are wondering about this, we can see similar outcome here on the 12Z output. A lot of these do indicate tropical storm intensity, so that's a given at this time. It's going to become a tropical storm. We know that for a fact. This is going to get named Debby, and then eventually coming offshore here and re-strengthening over the Atlantic here with favorable conditions. Sea surface temperatures are really warm to support that. And even here, there are some models that do have this at a high-end tropical storm with winds of about 60 miles an hour, or no, 60 knots, or about 70 miles an hour. Both the GEFS and the EPS, the ensemble, is indicating that. And there is not even a Canadian ensemble for this. So you can see, though, it is worth noting that the Euro thinks that this is going to be much further west. A little bit, just a little bit, which isn't a surprise given where our circulation might be trying to develop right now. And if we look closer, let's go closer, we can see it's down here potentially. Yeah, it looks like it might be down here. There's definitely evidence of that. There's a very intense band here. There's another band. So this could be forming down here much further south. Wow, way further south than what the NHC actually has it. So that is very important to take note of. By the way, if you guys haven't liked the stream yet, please consider liking the stream. We have not hit 100 likes yet, so please consider doing so if you haven't already. Bay, Bayshore, Florida. Am I too loud, folks? Let me know if I am too loud. So storm surge forecast for Tampa Bay right here is what you see it, 2 to 4 feet. Yep, I agree with you, front desk, on that. Yes, it is. Tell me, it is getting definitely better organized on the visible satellite imagery, certainly. It is not intensifying quickly. Hurricane Swifty 13, I think it's organizing very quickly. But then that could eventually lead to quick strengthening. But it is quickly organizing, and I am very certain right now that the circulation is definitely down here. It is definitely not up here at all. That is a given. That is most certainly a given. I'm in Pensacola, Florida. So yeah, you're up here to the north, and that is an area, if we go to our precipitation forecast, you can see Pensacola, Florida is over here. Wait, no. Panama City, Florida. Sorry. Panama City here, Pensacola here. See, I got those names mixed up again. So you can see there 2 to 4 inches of rain over the Pensacola, Panama City, Florida, and Pensacola getting at least about an inch of rain. Does a further south track mean more west, being in the Gulf longer? Yes. Icy shot, it does mean that. Because if we think about it like this, say our system, and that's why we use the Ensemble forecast for these kind of things. So imagining if this is further to the west, right over here, right, and this does something like this, it is going to be over the waters longer than, say, if it's way over here, it's going to be doing that. So that's a lot. If you think about it, that's here and that's here. It's going to spend maybe an entire day longer over the Gulf versus if it turns earlier. So yes, going further west means this could get stronger more than a track to the east. David, it's going to be 100 this upcoming week and next week in Oklahoma. David, I am in Miami Beach. Should I be concerned? What about the next storm coming? So this storm, so if we look at that storm, you're definitely going to get near tropical storm force winds. That is a guarantee with this system. Near tropical storm force winds with low-level winds, of course, nearing tropical storm force. But this is still in the formative stage. You're definitely going to get a lot of rainfall out of this. That is a guarantee. There is no in-fans on that one. You're definitely going to get rain and maybe some minor flooding. But once this gets into the Gulf, it really takes off. Now, someone was saying about the second system. There's a little bit more uncertainty in that, because this is only the second model run that the GFS has indicated. So we will see in future model runs of what this shows. I'm not going to speculate that, oh my gosh, there's going to be a hurricane. We don't know. This is really far out. This is 10 days out, by the way. So there's a lot of uncertainty. But that's a system to watch. Now, that little wave down there to the southeast of the Windward Islands. Do you think the storm surge forecast is accurate? I do believe it is fairly accurate because based on the intensity, again, this system is going to have tropical storm force winds, and that means there is going to be some storm surge here. Now, this could be generous because if this does get stronger, faster, and sooner, then we could be looking at storm surge a little higher than what is forecasted here. Looks like the 3 storms are coming. Only 2. I only see 2. And I don't really like to go even beyond 10 days on the GFS. Maybe there's a 3rd one. Let me check. Yeah, there's only 2. I only see 2. But now I want to make it clear, just because we don't see any more development out here in the Atlantic by the 18th or the 19th of August does not mean there won't be development at all. You can see right now what this wave might do, right? If we go back a couple of runs ago, you can see this wave is developing a little bit more better than what was initialized just 2 model runs ago. So these things could pick up really quickly. All right, I mean, there's a lot of convergence right along this intertropical convergence zone. So you can think about this area might consolidate eventually, and then maybe another area down the road can consolidate. We cannot take our eyes off of the Atlantic. This is the peak of hurricane season, or getting close. Within the next month and a half, we're going to see things really be very active. So that's why we're concerned about the Big Bend here of Florida with this first system. Now, again, we don't know much about the second system. All right, please, folks, okay? You might call me out on that, say, no, David's predicting another hurricane. Oh my gosh. 2 models doesn't give us anything, but it is worth noting this is not coming off of, say, the ABC Islands as something that looks like this. But look at what happens, though. This does try to do something similar to this little guy that's moving over Cuba right now. So that is going to be interesting. That is interesting, not concerning. Because now if that does develop and then it gets into the Gulf, then it's another system that we'll have to track down. How's Pine Island going to be? Let's go to Pine Island. Possibly Pine. Looks like it's an island. Pine Island, Florida. Oh, little cute island. Look at that. Teeny island. Who would want to live on Pine Island? Wow, that is right out there. Well exposed. Good thing you asked that. Wow. That is really lonely. Poor island. You're too lonely. So let's actually look at that. So for Pine Island, I don't even know if it's on the map. Come on, it's not even on the map. So it's over here. It's not even on here. So Pine Island could get tropical storm. We'll get tropical storm force winds perhaps. That's a pretty strong inner core developing right there. With those maybe even close to hurricane force over Pine Island, Florida. So again, that's what we're seeing right there over Pine Island. And when we take a look at precipitation, quite a bit moving over that little island. So yeah, not so fun to live on that island and witnessing that system. Gosh, and there's one way to get on and one way to get off. And that's a bridge. That's this road. And actually it is. Oh, it's actually swamp. It's more swampy. It's not a bridge. Actually, there is a bridge at the end. So I would not want to be on that island right now. That is a tiny island, Pine Island. What is the population on that? I imagine it's not very much. Yeah, only a population of 64 on Pine Island. So that is very small. That is very small. You're very welcome, Lindy. Alexander, Adam, there's no Cat 3. Please, let's not speculate that this is going to become a Cat 3 hurricane. Let's not scare our audience because there is little evidence of that occurring. Okay? Let's take it time by time. Because if I say this has become a Cat 3, then people are going to say, oh, David, stop hyping this up. You know, we really got to be careful. We really do. All right. I am going to have to head off here in a few minutes. Got to take a shower and then help family more. So any questions? You have like 2 minutes to answer or to ask questions. And then I have to head off. I will be live again tomorrow afternoon. Okay, I want to make it clear with you all. I am going to be live again tomorrow afternoon on this system, as long as this remains a threat. And then we're planning to go live all night on this system. Well, actually, this would be Tuesday afternoon. So all looks good. I might be able to go live on this. Actually, I won't be able to go live all night. Actually, I might be able to. We'll see. Definitely an update on that on Tuesday, though, as this moves onshore. Well, that's based on this run. We'll have to look at future model runs. What time am I going to go live tomorrow? Again, right around 4:30 or so. I plan on a 4:30 live stream, even maybe 4. Actually, no, wait, no. It's going to be about 4:30 or 5 o'clock. Roughly around there. I cannot make any promises, but it should be around that time when I'm able to go live. And yes, this looks like actually I got my days mixed up. This is actually Sunday. Wait, I thought I saw something that said Tuesday. Maybe I was wrong. Sorry about that. Got my days mixed up on the GFS model. So it's actually Sunday. So yes, I will be able to go live all night. Not all night, because I've got to be up early in the morning. But either way, we will have live coverage. You'll see it. Believe me. Make sure you're subscribed. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the bell icon to get all notifications. And also, share this. Please share this stream and my streams and my videos with your family and friends. Because we are going to be covering a lot of this once we get into the peak of hurricane season. Believe me, we will be covering this. And I have a lot to show you. I really do. As far as cameras, if necessary, we have several cameras that we will be showing as this makes landfall. And then future systems, if they come into the Gulf, we have more cameras, more live information that will bring you too. So if you haven't subscribed, please do so. What time zone? This is 5 p.m. Sunday. So this is in about a couple of days when this makes landfall. 5 p.m. Sunday, this is 8 p.m. on Sunday for Florida when this makes landfall, according to the GFS. If we look at the National Hurricane Center, it is 2 in the morning on Monday. So yeah, pretty much roughly in that time frame is when we expect that to make landfall, somewhere rather. All right, but anyways, I'm going to head off. Thank you all for tuning in to today's detailed tropical weather outlook and discussion on this system. As always, be safe. Please be prepared, and I'll see you back here. I'll see you back here tomorrow at around 4:30 or 5 o'clock.